Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm going to be discussing a few of my favorite things with the few of my favorite things tags. So I was tagged in this by author Lauren Adele. I will link her channel down below. And I just went in to look up who the creator of this tag was, but it's author Lauren Adele herself. So again, her channel will be linked down below. And this is just a fun tag just to get to know me on in a different way other than books. I usually just talk about books on this channel, but this is a way that I can share some of my other favorite things that I don't always talk about here. So there are about 16 questions, so let's just get into them so we can get through this pretty quickly. Question 1 is, who's your favorite musician or band? And this is a pretty tricky one for me because I actually just listen to a very wide variety of music. I mean, there's a couple of genres I don't really listen to because I'm not interested in them. But I don't really focus too much on artists so much as just songs. I do enjoy a lot of the like 70s, 80s stuff, so I really like ABBA, I really like Queen, there's a couple of bands that I really enjoy. I also listen to like Celtic Woman, really like that group. I don't know if you would call them a band, but they're like a group. And more recently, I really have been enjoying Demi Lovato's newest album and have found that I really like a lot of her music. There are definitely some songs that aren't really my vibe, but I do like a lot of what she does. So I would say, yeah, that's a good list of a few of the ones that stand out to me. But again, I really just mostly listen to songs as opposed to like specific artists. And I actually like to listen to soundtracks a lot for musicals, so there's that as well. Question 2 is so hard. It's, what are your top 3 favorite films? And I'm going to have to think about this for a moment because I genuinely don't have any idea what my favorite films are. Like, there are certain films that I tend to enjoy, like series I tend to enjoy and stuff, but I don't necessarily feel like I have favorites. I will also mention that there's actually a later question that's asking specifically favorite Disney films, so I will hold off on that grouping of films. I guess I would say I really like the Lord of the Rings films a lot, and I actually, unpopular opinion, enjoyed the Hobbit films as well. There were definitely things I didn't like about them, but on the whole, I really like the atmosphere that is created in the Hobbit films. I just feel like it's really bright and cheery. Obviously it gets a little darker as time goes on, but there were a lot of things I really enjoyed about that series. I do prefer the Lord of the Rings over the Hobbit films, but I do like them all. But I'm just gonna count that as one answer. I don't know that I would necessarily count this as a favorite of all time, but it's one that I've watched several times over the past few weeks and have really enjoyed. Oh, actually, okay, well, the one I was gonna say is Ophelia with Daisy Ridley, which is one that I just really like the look of. I don't necessarily love Ophelia as a character. I don't despise the portrayal, but I feel a little bit more indifferent to it, but it's so pretty. Like, the costumes are so good, the music is so wonderful, the scenery. It's just such a pretty movie to watch, and so I've watched that several times. But the one I'm going to mention that I really have fallen in love with recently too is Sense and Sensibility, the 1990s version. I forgot specifically what year that was released, but anyway, sometime 1990s with Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet. I really love that movie. And I guess I want to mention a Marvel film because I do really enjoy the Marvel film franchise. I don't know if I'd go for Civil War or the third Avengers movie, Avengers Infinity War. I don't know, I just like a lot of the things that are done in both of those films. I know like my brothers prefer Endgame over Infinity War, but I kind of liked the humor and the fun like joining of all these different characters that we all know that was in Infinity War. And even though I could see how people would see it as a bit messy, I felt like they did a pretty good job for what they were trying to do. Like, I feel like they made it pretty cohesive. It could have been a lot more confusing than it was. So I really like those two movies. So we'll just stop there because, again, I don't really have favorite films. I just have ones that maybe are sticking out to me in the moment, but like there's lots of, like, I could probably get a grouping of like 20 films, both series and standalone films, that like are the ones that I watch the most, but narrowing it down to 3 is like pretty much impossible because I can't even pick out like ones that I would say these are my favorite movies. I just can pick out ones that I'm like, yeah, I really like them and I rewatch them a lot. So anyway, we'll just stop there. I guess I could say the Harry Potter films as well, but I feel like that goes without saying. Question 3 is, what's your favorite scent? And I'm going to mention 2. So the first is, as far as like candles and stuff, I love like cinnamon pumpkin smells. Not like the sweet pumpkin smells, I feel like that's too much, but when it's like cinnamon with pumpkin, or really cinnamon with anything. I think I just like the smell of cinnamon in my candles. So like the pumpkin spice, but I also really don't mind like an apple cinnamon one. I just feel like the cinnamon dampens some of the sweetness that are in some of those other scents, and I just really like how they mesh together a lot. So definitely those fall pumpkin cinnamon scents I love a lot. And then as far as like outside of like actual like candles and stuff, I actually love the smell of popcorn so much. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but you know when you're so full and then the smell of food just smells gross, like it makes you kind of nauseous because you're just so full, you're stuffed, and you do not want food? I feel like popcorn is the only food that smells good even when you're totally full. Like I feel like popcorn always smells good, even when I'm like nauseous or anything. I'm like, yes, popcorn smells amazing. And so I just love the smell of popcorn. It always smells good, always. Okay, so question 4 is, what's your favorite Disney film? And again, this is so hard. I have narrowed down my top 5 Disney films, favorite Disney films. So I'm just gonna list them off because this is my video and I can do that. But I really love The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's a very underrated one, but I really love it. I love what they do to the story. I liked the book too, but it's more of a focus on architecture, which isn't bad. I actually enjoyed a lot of that aspect of it, but I felt like, I don't know, I also am one that I really like focusing on a story. And so books that kind of go on tangents are a little bit of a harder sell for me. Plus you can't really apply that sort of like just love of architecture to a screen. Like you're not gonna do that. You're gonna focus on the plot. And I feel like the plot, I kind of like the Disney-fied version of it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't dislike the original version. There's something about the Disney-fied version with the music. The music is so good in that film. In fact, maybe I'd say that's probably my top, but depending on the day, it could be something different. So I also love Beauty and the Beast. I guess I love my French stories. The Lion King is also amazing. And then my last 2 are pretty variable, to be honest, but they're 2 pretty underrated ones that I'm going to mention here because they are kind of standout films to me that are very underrated. And that is, first of all, I really like Treasure Planet, which is based on Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, and I love that movie. It's so good. It's a little strange. It takes a little bit getting used to the world or universe that it's set in, but like the character development and the relationship development in that is so well done. I absolutely love it. And I also really love Brother Bear a lot. I think that's such a sweet relationship focused story that I absolutely love. I could also mention Frozen. I'm a Frozen lover. I know people feel like it's overhyped or that it's been like talked about too much, but honestly, if you sit down and just watch the film, it's so good. It's so good. Question 5, what's your favorite season? And I'm going to be like probably most people who will answer this question and say fall. I am an autumn lover. I absolutely love the vibes of fall. I love the smells. I already mentioned the pumpkin spice, cinnamon smells. I really like a lot of the activities. I love wearing sweaters, and of course Victober is in fall. And I'm honestly not a huge Halloween person. I'm not really into horror. I'm not really into like scary things, but I like the fall atmosphere and the gothic atmosphere that's associated with fall, as opposed to like a lot of the like super Halloween scary stuff, if that makes sense. So definitely autumn. Question 6, what's your favorite seasonal drink? And this is such a hard question, mostly because I feel like I don't necessarily have a seasonal drink that I'm like so gung-ho about that I just like absolutely love. But I would say I do enjoy hot chocolate a lot, but specifically I like a little bit of the like pumpkin spice hot chocolate taste. Like I really like the pumpkin spice taste. I don't drink coffee, so I don't do like pumpkin spice lattes or anything, but like hot chocolate, so good. And the different flavors you can do with hot chocolate, I just really like, which is so funny because when I was little, I actually really didn't like hot chocolate. But as I've gotten older, I've really come to appreciate it. Question 7, do you have a favorite shirt or article of clothing? And I do have a few things that I really like. I'm debating if I should just show them to you. I think I'm just gonna tell you about them because I'm too lazy to go get them, but I have a plaid, like Scottish inspired skirt that I really love. It's like really good for winter. It's very heavy fabric. I think it's wool, potentially maybe something else, but anyway, very thick, but it's so cute and fun. I also love my Bronte sweatshirt. It's a light blue and it just has Acton, Ellis, and Curl, so that one I really love. And of course my Victober shirt that was first created last year, and I think I'll probably order another one this year, so we will see. I will, if I remember, I will link down below the link to the Etsy page where you can get the Victober t-shirt if you would like it. I know she just barely got more in stock for this upcoming Victober, so definitely check that out. But I really, really love it, and again, I think I might get another one because they're so cute. Or I might get something else Victorian themed, some other sweatshirt or something. But anyway, love those. Those are probably a couple of my favorites. Ooh, and I really like my other sweatshirt. It says Protect the Children, and it has a really nice design on it for Thorn, which is a company that is striving to end child exploitation and trafficking on the internet. And it's a really, really great nonprofit organization. And the sweatshirt I got was not necessarily by them. It was actually by Kendall Ray here on YouTube, who does a true crime channel. But she sells these and all the profit went to this company. And so really cool. And it's a really cute sweatshirt as well and very cozy. So those are probably some of my tops. Question 8, we're getting back a little bit into the book world by asking what my favorite author is. And of course, most of you know who have been on my channel for a while, it's Thomas Hardy. I really, really love Thomas Hardy, although I would say there are a couple authors who may creep up on him a little bit. I don't know if they'd surpass him, but they're creeping up. The first of those is Elizabeth Gaskell, and then also Anthony Trollope. Both have a lot of potential to win over Thomas Hardy for me. I could also say, honestly, Edith Wharton potentially as well could beat him out, but we'll have to see. I want to give her a little bit more time because the second book I read by her I really didn't like, which kind of killed the vibe for me, but the other two I've read by her I've absolutely loved. So there's a strong chance she could get up there, but we will see. But for now, I'll just say Thomas Hardy. Question 9 is, do you have a favorite spot for reading or writing? Which I'm not really a writer, maybe someday, but I just don't really have much motivation or care to do that right now. But for reading, I don't really have a special spot for reading. I used to. When I'm at my parents' house, I like to read a lot in their front room. There's just a nice couch. It's a little more secluded while also not being like in my room. I also like to read outside when I can, although I can only do that for so long because bugs. I'm not a big bug person, so they can, if there's enough of them around and they're really bothering me, I might ditch that idea. But I do like to when I can. Question 10, what's your favorite food or dessert? Oh gosh, that's so hard. I just love food and dessert. I think for food, I'm going to say either pizza, like I just love pizza, and depending on my mood, I usually go for pepperoni, just plain pepperoni, or maybe pepperoni and olives. Or if I'm in a little fancier mood, I really like a good margarita pizza. So I would say definitely pizza, I'm a huge fan of. And also just like sandwiches, not hot sandwiches usually, although I don't mind like a Philly cheesesteak. But I'm a little bit more on the cold sandwiches, things like cafes. So like Panera Bread or Netre's is kind of my local-ish. It's still a chain, and I think it spreads to a lot of the West Coast. But maybe it doesn't. I don't really know. Anyway, they have great sandwiches, or even like Jimmy John's and Subway I really like. So I really, like, often when I'm hungry, I'm kind of like, man, I'm in the mood for a sandwich, and it's just deciding which type of sandwich I want. But yeah, we'll say pizza and sandwiches. I'm a carbs girl, so. Question 11, what's your favorite time of day? I really like the evenings because I feel like I can settle down a lot more during the evenings, which makes it kind of hard when I have to work evening shifts because reading, for example, I have a hard time focusing on reading earlier in the day. I just feel like my brain just thinks, you know, it's daytime, I need to be doing things. And so while I can get some reading done, I tend not to get quite as much done as I do when I'm just like coming home in the evening and I have several hours and I can just sit and read. I'm much better able to focus on relaxation things at night. So definitely the evening, but I'm also not a super night owl. Like midnight feels late to me. So at the latest I go to bed at midnight, which for some people is still pretty late, but anything past that, it has to be a really good reason for me to stay up that late. But anyway, yeah, usually evening, usually 5 to midnight-ish, 5 to 11 maybe, is kind of my sweet spot. Question 12, what's your favorite color? I don't know. I probably would say blue. I really find myself drawn to blue. I also really like purple and green depending on the day, but I feel like for the most part I find myself drawn to blue the most, like when I look at clothes or decoration items, things like that. So we'll go with that. Question 13 is, who's your top 3 favorite YouTube channels? And this isn't a fair question. I'm like, I love so many YouTube channels and there's so many, but I do want to keep it to just 3 because I have done a lot of videos like recommending YouTubers and stuff. So I'm gonna focus on 3 that maybe recently I've been loving, or just that maybe I have a bit stronger connection with. I don't know. Okay, just please nobody get offended if I don't mention them because I'm narrowing it down to 3. You just think about this. 3 people that I'm just narrowing this down to, and like depending on the day, depending on my mood, different personalities vibe with me differently. So we're just gonna go for this. So I'm going to say Jennifer Brooks is definitely up there. I'll probably say Novel Novels. And then I think I'm gonna throw in a channel that I don't necessarily talk to the creator of that channel. I'm not one to like comment on his videos very much, mostly because he reads totally different books than I would. Well, not totally different, just different books than I usually lean towards, but I find him so entertaining. So yeah, have not interacted with him at all, but I'm gonna say Katie Books because he's just hilarious, and I really enjoy watching his videos. Like I said, I don't comment really on any of them because I don't really feel like I have anything to say because he does mostly reviews, and a lot of these books I have never read and have no real interest in reading, but I really appreciate a lot about his stuff and his personality and stuff. So anyway, so even if I don't care about the book at all, I'll just watch his reviews just because I just think he's entertaining and he brightens my day. So we're gonna go with those 3 channels. There are so many others I could mention, but that's just kind of like me scrolling through and being like, sure, let's mention them. So yeah, oh, I could say so many others. No, I'm not gonna just go through my whole list of YouTubers I'm subscribed to. So know that you are loved. If I subscribe to you, if I comment on your videos and stuff, if I like your Instagram content, whatever, I probably really love you and you're probably one of my favorites. I had to narrow it down. This video is not about recommending YouTubers, it's about answering these questions. So there's that. Question 14, what's your favorite musical or play? And I'm going to say it's probably a toss-up between The Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis. I like the story of Les Mis and the characters in Les Mis probably better than Phantom of the Opera, but I think the music in Phantom of the Opera is better, even though I love the music in Les Mis a lot. I do think Phantom is just a little bit better. It's just a little bit better. So I'm gonna go with those 2. So if we're focusing on the music, Phantom of the Opera, but if we're focusing on like the story and stuff, then Les Mis probably, but love them both wonderful. Question 15 is, what's your favorite place you visited? I have to go with 2 because I can't decide between them. So the UK, first of all, and I went to both Scotland and like southern, like around London in England, so just kind of that part. We did go to like Oxford and Stratford upon Avon. But other than that, we were just kind of in that area. But I think between the two countries, I did kind of tend to lean a little bit more towards Scotland, just because there's a lot more. I mean, we were in Edinburgh and they weren't bombed in World War II the way London was, so they had a lot more of the older architecture, which I just really loved. And I really liked the countryside. We were able to go to the north part, a little bit more north, not all the way up, but more north, like around Loch Ness and stuff, and Scotland as well, and it was just so beautiful. But England was wonderful too. I don't know, that whole trip was just great. And then the place in the US actually that I absolutely adore and I want to go back so bad, like I'm kind of considering saving up to go on a trip back because I just absolutely love it, and that's Boston. I love Boston. I went there when I was 16. I'm on the western side of the United States, so it's pretty far, which means plane tickets are a little more expensive to get there for me, but I absolutely adore Boston, that whole area. We were able to go around to like Concord and Lexington and Salem and Plymouth, and I just loved the New England area, and specifically Boston and nearby places to that. It's just so amazing. I absolutely loved that trip so much. And that was probably the only place I've ever like visited. And my family's traveled quite a bit comparatively to other people. Although there are lots of people I'm sure who have traveled way more than I have. But having traveled quite a few places still, like we usually would go on at least one big trip every single year growing up. And Boston's the only place I've ever visited where I actually felt like I could live there. Like not just visiting, but I actually was like, I would be okay with living here. Like I could do that. I don't know if I'd still feel that way because I found I'm kind of a suburb girl, which not that you can't have suburbs over there, but I used to want to live like in Boston. So I don't know if I'd still feel that same way, but I really love the area and I want to go back so bad. So hopefully in the next year or so, year and a half, I can save up enough to go because I want to so bad. It's so amazing. And the last question, this is much longer than I wanted it to be, but I get to tag some people. So I'm gonna tag some people that I'm gonna tag the 3 that I mentioned as favorites. I mean, again, Katie Books, I haven't interacted with, and I doubt that he subscribes to me, but if he does, he can be tagged. I'm also going to tag 3 others though. I'm going to tag just to spread the love a little bit more. I'm going to tag Hannah from Hannah's Books because I'd be very curious to get to know her a little bit more through some of these questions. I'm also going to tag Ray of Sunlight because I'd be very curious to hear her answers to these as well. And then I'm going to tag, I guess I'll do 2 more because I want, you know, a little bit more testosterone in this tag. So let's do Connor Stompanato and David Wiley. Yeah, you guys are all tagged. Thank you so much for watching. Excited to get to know you guys if you decide to do this. Again, like with all my tags, I don't keep track. I'm not gonna remember that I tagged you. So if you don't do it, it's fine. I know booktube planning is sometimes chaotic, so all is well. But again, thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you next time. Bye.